Welcome back, everybody, to another Ascension update by yours truly. As you can see, I'm in a different setting. I'm visiting family in the States. Just flowing with the shifts and flowing with the changes. Listening to the beautiful sound of birds. Really taking in this nice breeze that's flowing through, that's coming through. I don't feel as hot as I might have thought, so that's a good thing, or that's a nice little surprise. Just having this really nice wind, and being out in nature. Lots of trees behind me. Little kitties. And just feeling into what to share. I knew May was going to be a big month. I knew May was going to bring through a lot more changes. In fact, it always has been, well, in one way, shape, or form for many years. And I was feeling into the frequencies back maybe like a couple weeks ago about May, about being in the earth element. Feeling into the deeper internal shifts, the deeper internal changes, feeling into what else or what would support. And the biggest thing will always be the body. The body is and always will be the biggest thing right now, because we're all going through what we call physical body ascension. So it's going to be very physical. You're going to be feeling it in so many different ways, inside of you, internally, and also like within your immediate physical reality. Everything will be more and more physical. And this is important because a lot of the times we feel like ascension is more energetic. In fact, a lot of us did have that perception of ascension just being a raise in frequency, a raise in vibration, you raise your energy, right? You're in heaven. And there was a mismatch, or a huge key missing about how physical this whole process actually is. And luckily, though, this has been shifting, right? A lot of us have been feeling the physicality of this change of the ascension process for probably years now. A lot of us started in 2020, even pre-2020, or shortly, right before 2020 hit. And the level of physical changes, the level of physical body clearings, upgrades, rewrites is beyond what most of us thought, what most of us believed, what most of us had experienced before. And I do want to remind you that no matter what you've been going through, there's always going to be that physical component. Always, always, beyond always, because we still have a physical body. As long as we have a physical body, we will feel physical things. As long as we have a physical body, we will continue to feel a lot of different things. And I like to bring it back to like the cells, the cellular shifting, the cellular clearing, because we have so many cells inside of us, right? We have trillions of cells. Every single cell within our physical body will continue to go through a massive and enormous amount of clearing. It's not an overnight process. This becomes this whole reality, this whole human experience becomes the process. Like, life becomes the process. And this is really, really, really important to get, because a lot of us, the linear mind, the logical, the ego, whatever we call it, is under a presumption that this isn't normal, and I want my old life back, or I want my life back, right? Which technically what's saying is I want to continue to live in my fear and my trauma and my wounds. I want to continue to live in my comfort zone without experiencing any change at all. But I want you to really open up to this and really feel how that goes against who you are. That literally goes against your essence. Because as energy will always need to move, will always be changing and morphing. And so this very contradictory energy brings a resistance forth that breaks you out of who you are. Makes things harder, makes things more challenging. It creates this trauma-based reality, trauma response. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's a cardinal. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, actually, I guess like that. Let me see if we can hear it better. I don't know if you can see it. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I never knew that cardinals sounded like. Oh, that is so beautiful. I hope you heard a little bit of that, because that was so amazing. And it was literally right on top of me. Our old realities, the old foundations in which our whole entire reality was constructed upon was beyond anything that we thought, beyond anything that we realized. So it's something that we all say, by the way, like we all at some level, like we want our reality, our old reality back. We want our old life back. We want to go back and not feel so many things, and not feel the arduous emotional clearing. I don't want to feel every cell in my body. I don't want to be that connected. And the thing is that we were so disconnected that we didn't even know it, right? We did not know how disconnected we've been. We had no clue how far deep it went, right? And so we are in this a very interesting phase where we're starting to feel so many things. We're starting to feel so many more emotions, and it's uncomfortable, to say the least. It's deep and it's painful because we were so out of balance with everything, right? We were so in the opposite end of the spectrum of not feeling, or I will say this, not consciously feeling things. Okay, because a lot of us did feel a lot, right? We throw the word empath quite a bit, but yet it's unconscious. It's a level of unconsciously feeling, which means it's feeling from the ego, from this hurt child inside. You can feel things from this aspect of yourself, and yet you're not fully and deeply feeling it at the level that we need to in order to release it. So when we get stuck in feeling something from this inner hurt, traumatized child, this child doesn't fully know how to feel in order to release. It just feels to create this kind of comfort zone, which we've all done that at some level, and we get stuck in this comfortableness of feeling within that aspect, within the disconnected aspect of ourselves. And so now what's happening is the body's like, no, now it's time to break out of the comfort zone, which does make things a lot more uncomfortable, which takes us out of our comfort zone. More birds. And allows us to live in a whole different way, from a whole different reality, from a completely different aspect within ourselves. That it's so new. This is such a new experience. This is such a different reality that we're not used to. We're not used to this free flow. We're not used to being free. We're not used to surrendering. We're not used to life being simple and life being easy and life being loving. We are not used to that at all. In fact, we create this perception that something's wrong. We create this protection mechanism that fights it. And yet, little by little, as we continue to open up a little more, feel a little bit deeper from our conscious state, things start to make a little bit more sense. Things do start to open up. Things do start to become this wave, and we start to become more comfortable riding that wave. The uncomfortableness, the uncomfortable phases, the deep physical sensations, the deep, intense, extreme physical clearings. Cool. Become part of this experience. That was fast. Oh my God, he is going super fast. I love looking at my reality because it kind of shows me, and that was super fast. That was like a super fast jet. I have never consciously, or in my conscious awareness memories, I've never seen that before. So that was super interesting because things are speeding up. I know I'm going to pause it a little bit with what I was saying, but things are speeding up really, really fast. And that was an incredibly, super on point confirmation that it's true. Wow. I can't imagine how fast that jet was going. Because you could, if I'm looking at it from I don't know how many miles away, and I could see how fast it's flying, I can't imagine the actual speed. That was wow. Okay. Going back to this new normality, going back to this new sense of flow, going back into this, there is this really coolness that starts to happen about bringing bringing ourselves into a state where things are much more in a flow, and you're no longer scared of how things move, how things shift, how much emotional purging we're gonna have to do. You're no longer scared about anything that's happening in your reality. You're no longer in that stress mode, fight or flight mode, and yet everything is a wave. So you will come into moments where you connect to deeper parts of yourself that are still in that stress mode, that are still in that fear mode, fight or flight mode. And that will always be just a really normal part of this experience. I want to continually open us all to this new normality, to this new flow, which is very new, very different. There is no sense, there's no control from the old version of yourself, from the old aspect of yourself. This doesn't mean that old aspect, ego, inner child doesn't exist. It will always exist. It will always be there. This is always going to be a part of us to look at. This is always going to be a part of us to not be afraid of. This is always going to be a part of us to no longer punish, but embrace. I had a really interesting conversation about this, and just the awareness that came through about the energy that I was still unconscious about. towards the ego, towards my own personal the inner wound, the inner hurt aspect of myself was very interesting. There is this battle. And I know that I've talked about this before. There is this battle, internal, very deep battle that goes on inside of us, that wants to reject the ego, wants to put the ego in its place, wants to control the ego, wants to punish the ego, wants to prove to the ego. And in truth, it's just ego versus ego, right? Like, I remember one of my teachers used to say, when you're in the ego, you actually don't know that you're in the ego. You think that you're not, which is what happens. It's a very normal part of this process, but it happens to every single one of us. We think that we're not in the ego, and yet we are, which is part of the reason why we keep playing in the battle, light versus dark, right? Negative versus the positive. All of these old constructs, they come from different levels of ego, different levels of this, separation from source. And so when we talk about the ego, there is an infinite amount of versions. There's an infinite amount of levels to it too. And so, again, this will always be a part of us as long as we have this physical body. This will always be a really important part of us to open up to. To open up to the reality that at some level we're in the ego still. However, there's a moment where things shift and you're no longer as anchored in the ego, the little child, the hurt, the traumatized toddler. There's a moment where you become much more aware, you're much more in your light, and you see it, right? You are much more aware and conscious. And it's something that I've been playing with it myself a lot more lately. That while I can see myself more in my light stability, within my light balance, there's always this version that comes up. Little traumatized child, little fearful child, little competitive child, little bully child, little jealous child that comes through. And I see it and I'm like, wow. Blows my mind, and yet allowing myself to become more conscious, to have this healthy relationship. We called it I was talking to someone and talking about this healthy ego, this healthy relationship, opened me up to, that's actually what this is all about allowing yourself to have this very conscious, this healthy, this like loving relationship with that aspect of us that will always be there. It's always going to be part of this experience. This isn't about rejecting it, refuting it. This isn't about hiding it or hiding from it. This isn't about fighting it. This is about slowly starting to realize that it's always going to be there. Opening that up, opening up to it, opening up to the energies of it, opening up to the emotions of it, opening up to how it feels, what it's doing right now, what it's perceiving, what it's scared of, what it's trying to resist, who it's trying to fight, all of its deepest fearful motives and intentions. And the moment that you start to open up and just become aware is the moment that you take back the keys from this aspect and you allow this door to open up so that more of your light source, higher self, can come through and bring through the energies that will reintegrate it back into the body. So I know I kind of went all over, but coming back to this, the physicality of this process and of this journey will continue to intensify because we're in May, because we're deep in the energies of the earth element in Taurus. It will continue to be a really big deal and a really big thing to just open up and honor. Someone had mentioned a long time ago, I heard this from another past a teacher at one point. The body is the inner child. Part of what's happening, or part of why we are starting to feel a lot more things in the body, is because inner child has awakened. The deepest, most heaviest energies that have been trapped within the inner child are finally coming up to the surface, and they're coming up to the surface within your body, right? You're starting to feel it. We are starting to feel it within the body, because that's where it's been trapped all along. The inner child lives within the body until it clears, releases, it reintegrates back, and we get to allow the higher self to come into the body, deeper into the body, which is what then physical body ascension, which is then, or what then we move into this physical body ascension. So we're all in this together. Every single person is going through physical body ascension, whether they know it, whether they're in this journey or not. It does not matter. None of that matters anymore. What matters is that we continually be more in tune with what's happening to the body. What matters is that we become more aware of all of these different things that we're feeling in the body. You don't have to know everything that's happening. You just have to open up to become more aware of what you're feeling, of what you're sensing, of where you're sensing it. Breathing more light, more intentional, and more consciously, so that you can start to receive that light information, so that your body can start to process all of this, and so that then your body has enough light inside to translate more of what's happening, so that you can become a little bit more aware and a little bit more understanding of more of the ins and outs. It might take time. Time is irrelevant right now. Time is just energy. And everything is moving and shifting and morphing faster and faster and faster. And so just allowing yourself to be in that, just allowing yourself to just flow, is going to be super, super important. So I'm going to leave you with that. Sending you some of this amazing breeze, beautiful, magical tree energy, and the bird energy, and the bird songs that are so magical. I will be bringing through another series of clearing meditations. So I'll probably put a link below for you to read, check out, when you are ready, when you feel ready to join us. That will be something that I will bring back. I just had to really allow my body to go through the shifts and the changes and the clearing and all of what I went last week. That was definitely preparing me for this big trip. And so I'll be bringing through more info as we flow, as always. And so with that, sending you tons of love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. If you do feel, if you would like to receive more personal one-on-one support, I will have my private schedule open. And so you're more than welcome to reach out, ask more information. I will also put the link underneath the video so that you can read more about that. So with that, thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon.